Okay, this video is called Why I Will Miss UFC Pay-Per-Views. As many of you already know, the UFC signed with Paramount Plus and is getting rid of pay-per-views, and I'm excited as a fan, don't get me wrong. Uh, and it's going to be great to have everything under one app, one umbrella, simple. You just keep a subscription to Paramount Plus. So I'm excited. I'm probably more excited than sad, honestly. And I hope the UFC does great in this new deal, and everyone benefits. That'll be awesome. Only time will tell, of course, but so far so good. But with that said, this video is called Why I Will Miss UFC Pay-Per-Views. And so I came up with a list, and yeah, let's get started. So there's 5 bullet points that I pointed out. The first one being UFC pay-per-views were actually always free. And I know what you're thinking. Some of you are like, well, I could just bootleg it off the internet. No, I'm not talking about bootlegging off the internet. I'm talking about like actually being able to legitimately watch it for free. And I'm going to show you how I watched them for free every single month. And this is, by the way, through the official UFC website. I don't know how many of you knew about this, but I'm going to share it on here. So you go up to, there we go. Okay, so you're on the UFC website. Here we go. And then you go to watch. Then you go to watch UFC. Oh yeah. So you go to watch. You go to find a bar. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put in your zip code, which, so that is not my address there, but let's put in this search here. So what it's going to do is it's going to tell you within a 10, 15, 20 mile radius of your zip code where a UFC pay-per-view is being shown. So here is a list. And as you can see, there's movie theaters, which now movie theaters do charge, I think it's like $20 to $30 to buy a ticket. However, Buffalo Wild Wings, they will show the pay-per-views for free. You just first come, first serve, get a good seat, get there as early as you can. If not, then oh well, you just gotta sit in a corner, or you got to figure out, you know, friend saving you a spot, whatever. But 9 out of 10 times, if you get there at the start of the pay-per-view, you'll be fine. Unless it's like a Conor McGregor or something. Then basically you just, what I would do just to double check is I would call that particular Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever sports bar. And then so then the other thing is, you might be going, well, now, what if I miss the live broadcast? Well, the thing is, if you miss the live broadcast and you want to see a replay and you can't make it to these sports bars, then on the ESPN app or UFC Fight Pass, it shows up, the replay shows up. So a UFC replay on ESPN, for the ESPN deal on the ESPN app, would take 2 weeks and 2 days. So if it aired on a Saturday, it's 2 weeks from that Saturday, plus the following Monday. So 2 weeks and 2 days. The replay would be on the ESPN app, if, assuming you have a subscription to ESPN Plus. And then also, what was I going to say? Um, yeah, so it would take a little bit longer to be on UFC Fight Pass, but it'll eventually also be on UFC Fight Pass. So if you have a subscription to that, it's free to watch a replay, because yeah, so it's not going to be much different than having a Paramount Plus subscription to watch the pay-per-view. But yeah, in this case, you get to watch it for free legitimately. And then the other thing you might be thinking is, well, now if I go to Buffalo Wild Wings, they're going to want me to order food and drinks and then leave a tip and whatnot. Well, here's the thing about that. So let me show you this. Buffalo Wild Wings, if you go to their website, I'm not going to show you my rewards account, but I'm just going to show you this, that if you sign up for the Buffalo Wild Wings rewards, when you do order food and drinks when you're there to watch the pay-per-view, which they're showing for free, you will rack up points, and then those points you can use later on for free food and drinks, like soft drinks and whatnot, and then burgers and fries. And so, yeah, that takes care of that argument of, well, I'm going to be spending money on food and drinks. Not necessarily. This last coming UFC pay-per-view, UFC 323, coming up this Saturday at the time of this recording, I got enough points to get 2 free entrees, a free side, and a free soda. And possibly on top of it, a free dessert as well. I'm 90% sure I got enough points for the free dessert. If not, all that other stuff's free for sure. And then my dessert's free, potentially. And that's my whole meal right there, because I'll be there for a few hours, and I'll probably have a meal when I get there, and then a meal when I in the middle of the pay-per-view. So that takes care of that. And yeah, then the other my second point is no commercials. So pay-per-views, when you watch them, you'll see like little ad pop-ups for a brief 5 seconds or whatnot, but you're not seeing a 3-minute commercial break, or a 2-minute commercial break. And then especially if it's the same sponsor, and I'm not attacking any of these sponsors, they're all great. I thank them all for supporting the UFC. So it's not me, trying to bash any sponsor here, but yeah, it's there's no commercial breaks. It's just, you get to see them train in the back, walking out, the fight announcements, all the festivities. And so you get to see all that. Then there is, oh yeah, so, because it's a pay-per-view, you're picking up the, essentially, in theory, you or someone else is picking up the bill to avoid the sponsor. Sort of like when you pay for an ad-free version of an app, like Peacock or Paramount Plus or whatever the app is. You're paying a little extra to avoid the ads. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I got the ad-free version of Paramount Plus, so I'm not going to have to worry about commercial breaks. Again, not bashing Paramount Plus here, but it does say, and this isn't just Paramount Plus, but it goes for every app that shows live sports. It does not include live sports. So you will see ads, ad breaks in the middle, in between the fights, and possibly between rounds. Hopefully not too bad, but you will see advertisements, commercials. But yeah, Paramount Plus, awesome app. So I'm excited still. But there is that Debbie Downer of, there are going to be some ads, and I'm not bashing Paramount Plus. It's just the way it is. Then the third point is meet up with friends. So, when there's a pay-per-view on at a sports bar, or a friend orders it at their house, his or her house, you kind of go, well, I could bootleg it off the internet, which I never did. Myself, I was never big on doing that, but I know people that did. But some of those people would be like, well, so and so is ordering at their house and they're inviting me over, so they got a big screen TV and all this, and there's going to be a bunch of other friends over, so then you all meet up and watch it. But now that everyone can just get an app and watch it, uh, it's like, well, maybe I'll go to my friend's house, or maybe I'll just stay home and watch it. So you might have less camaraderie with friends watching events. Then the fourth point is support of sports bar staff. So I flat out told some Buffalo Wild Wings staff members that, yeah, you guys were showing me an $80 pay-per-view for free, and if I spent, $20, $30 on burgers and fries and a soda pop and whatever else, then I'm still ahead $50. Plus, I don't have to cook dinner. Plus, I don't have to, um, you know, uh, whatever. Just it just it. I don't have to cook. I don't have to wash dishes. It's there. The food's there, and I'm still ahead. X amount of dollars. But now that I can just watch it at home, I'll be like, well, maybe I'll just stay at home and cook a pizza, frozen pizza or something. So there's that. However, I still do like going to sports bars and watching live sports. So I told them, I said, maybe me personally, I'll try to make it out once in a while to watch the events. But there's less incentive for me to go out and do that now. Then the fifth and final point is, it felt special. When there was that pay-per-view, a lot of times, they stack that main card up because they had to sell you an $80 pay-per-view, and there's less incentive. And I'm not saying the UFC won't. I mean, so far so good, but because UFC 324 main card looks stacked. I mean, stacked. And this is the first non-pay-per-view on Paramount Plus. So I'm excited. I know some fans are upset over the card placement, but regardless of that, it looks like a banger card, and the matchmakers did a great job, as always. Shout out to Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard for doing a great job making these fights. As always, they're always doing a great job. But and I'm not saying that they won't do a good job down the line, but when you look at WWE, when they got rid of pay-per-views, they they started to get lazy when they threw them on Peacock Plus or Peacock Premium or Peacock. It's like there's less matches now. Instead of, there used to be like anywhere from 5 to 8 matches on a WWE pay-per-view. Now it's like 4 to 6, and some of the matches look like they could have been on Raw or SmackDown, and they're just glorified matches that are hyped up and thrown on there. And they're on subscription apps now. Now, I'm not saying the UFC is going to be doing the same, and honestly, me personally, I don't think they will. But only time will tell. And yeah, so there's my tidbits. There's my 2 cents on UFC pay-per-views. And yeah, just also Johan Promotion. So the company so if you own a sports bar, and you want to show UFC pay-per-views, you had to call up a company called Johan Promotions, and they would, you would work out a deal and pay for per TV to air the UFC pay-per-view legitimately. And so I hope those people are doing okay from this, because obviously there's going to be less people, sports bar owners, calling them up to show it, um, to ask them to show something, because there's no pay-per-views now. And I hope so I hope they do okay. I don't know what their business model is now in terms of doing, how they're going to do things, but yeah, you don't have to call them anymore because there's no more pay-per-views if you're a sports bar owner. So I hope those employees do okay. Then the sports bar employees, I hope they do okay. Buffalo Wild Wings, the one I go to, the manager said that they still are going to show UFC fights, that they have Paramount Plus, so they will be showing the big events. And then I'm sure if you went there for a fight night and asked them to turn the TV on to that, they would, assuming they have a free TV available and people are asking for them to turn it on. But yeah, so there's my tidbits on why I will miss UFC pay-per-views. And just, growing up watching UFC pay-per-views, I started watching UFC in 2008, where I only watched a couple, and then 2009 onwards, I was pretty much watching every event. And then by 2010, I was definitely watching every event. It just sort of grew, and so I'm used to the non-pay-per-views and then pay-per-views, and back, back in the 2010s, you would wait for the pay-per-view to go on DVD, and it would take 3 to 4 months afterwards. But then in 2014, with the advent of UFC Fight Pass, they would, air the pay-per-views, a replay on UFC Fight Pass. And then with ESPN Plus, it was like 2 weeks and 2 days later that the pay-per-views would hit ESPN Plus, so you could watch the replays. But yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and just understand where I'm coming from. But I think that overall things are looking good for the UFC, and that they're going to have some banger cards coming up, and I'm very excited as a fan, and I can't wait. So overall, all is good in the UFC world. And so this isn't by any means bashing anyone. Just, there's that thing of, you're used to watching pay-per-views and way you would go about things, but now times have changed, and yeah, it's a change of tide. So there you go. Hope you all have a good day, and see you all later.